the theme of this particular episode, if anyone's noticing, is differentiating between the easy and the difficult.
Yes.
The difficult part is the controversial part, and I feel like a huge part of the problem of this whole engagement that's been happening for 70 years, and especially this particular couple of months ago, I gotta say it's Hamas, because you don't go into the enemy's territory, do what you do, and then in what world were they expecting that nothing's going to happen?
I'm willing to have that difficult conversation with you right now.
Because, yeah, and let me put my case forward. Because that's not to say that people would not have died regardless. Those 8,000 kids would not have died anyway. But surely you're not telling me that those 8,000 kids they're dead now, they would have regardless been dead had October 7th happened or not happened. That is not to undermine the challenges that the Palestinians face, but that is also us equating the whole of Afghanistan with them being Taliban. We just talked about this. We said the issues that the Muhajireens of Afghanistan are facing right now, they've been pushed back. They've been kicked out of Pakistan, which is de facto has been their country for most of those people for 20 to 30 years after the war, 40 years almost, right? And they're facing this collective punishment as a result of being associated with the Taliban, the bad guys of that community, because I think everyone's a Taliban, right? So how is this different from that? Because I feel like Hamas has done a massive amount of injustice to this cause, because it's not, and in no books, I feel like, my opinion is, and I'm happy to have a conversation about this. My opinion is that there's absolutely no way that an onslaught of the nature that Hamas has done, by, believe it, they did kill innocent civilians. Believe it or not, you can't say by default all of those civilians were responsible for the occupation because they were there. That's equal to saying that, I'm going to bomb the whole of Gaza because they're behind Hamas. So that obviously cannot stand. But you can't say that. There's no way I can understand that. There's no way, and there's no precedence of that in any philosophy that I subscribe to. There's no you cannot quote me any history of the imams and any action of the imam. You cannot. There's just no precedence that exists for that. The whole reason why I feel like the political power in the religion of Islam does not lie in the hands of a non-Masoom, in my belief, is because of that. Because the moment it lies in the hand of a non-Masoom, and God subscribes that okay, you can now fall under this non-Masoom, follow him or her. That's chaos. That's why a political leader, a community leader, a spiritual leader has always had, have to be a Masoom. That's the whole point of this religion. So again, that's what I'm going to push.
Let me ask you this: where are you getting your news from? What about this whole thing? Where have you been getting your news? Let me ask you this. No. Let me ask you. No. Let me just ask you. No.
Are you saying that October 7th?
No. I'm not saying that.
If
I'm
you're
not saying that.
then come on.
Let me just ask you. What is your news sources? What are your news sources?
Like actual news sources? Like, you want me to name you publications? Please. There's no publications per se, but I do. If you had, that pops to my head right now is the Intercept,
which is a American. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a much more reputable than CNN or Fox and all of those others. And then obviously there are they're on the ground journalists from Palestine that I've been following actively to try to understand. Again, those are the impact is
I'm not
real.
saying that. So the thing is, one of the things, and unfortunately, the problem with both of us is we don't speak Arabic, and apparently, speaking to people who have been following this, they're saying you guys have no idea what's going on because the Arabic media, even Al Jazeera Arabic versus Al Jazeera English, night and day difference on what is being actually said.
Sure,
what has come out.
Yes.
First of all, one of the things, and Hazrat, which is a huge, one of the biggest Israeli publications, right?
Oh, about are you referring to the news that came out a couple of weeks ago that actually two pieces of news. One, that the Israeli government knew about this attack.
Well, that's part of it.
Out there flagged that was going to happen. And then the other thing was that when they came in, they didn't know about the concert going on.
So a couple things on that, right? So one, they knew, like this was, and there's another third piece of information, is the in the basically the WikiLeaks that are coming out now on all this. Hamas just like Hamas is a government in Gaza, just like Israel has its government. The government of Gaza since 2006 has been Hamas because that was the last time they had elections. The Hamas leadership had information that in the next few days after the major Jewish holidays, which were going to end at the end of October, there was a major military offensive planned by the Zionist regime into Gaza. So to answer your first question about the 8,000 babies being killed, that was already happening. There is a plan. No, it's not.
That's debatable.
Have you read the Abraham Accords?
Okay, but even if I agree to that, that still doesn't excuse the fact that why would you even prompt it? Why are you
the thing is,
kill 8,000 babies being killed, 8,000 babies being killed unprovoked is a different news compared to 8,000
the thing is
8,000 babies being killed provoked. Debate arguably.
Okay, again, you know this attack is coming. Okay. On top of that, the Abraham Accords, which is I'm sure you are familiar with the Abraham Accords and what's going on with the Abraham Accords, with the normalization of relationship with the Arab world and Israel.
With Israel,
and within the Abraham Accords, it says clearly there is no Palestinian state. There is no Palestine. The 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are to be pushed into the Sinai Peninsula, and the 3 million in West Bank are to be pushed into Jordan. And everything will be Israel.
Given.
Now, the Hamas. Now, am I going to say that what Hamas did was justified? Probably not in the sense of from where I'm standing, right? Again, as drawing room experts. But the reality over there in this situation is they know this attack is coming. They know the normalization is coming. And this is their last dance. And the thing at the very end of this, if you go even look at the data that's coming out, majority of the civilians that were killed were not killed by Hamas. They were killed by the IDF idiots who started firing at their own concert goers.
They not majority, but some of them.
No, it's coming out. Majority of them, and
there were some clarifications. I think after that it was not like all of them were killed, but
and
still,
then we're told the biggest lie that the Zionist regime has been pushing is 40 babies were beheaded. Now it's coming out. It was one.
Okay, that's a different thing. I'm not talking about the babies again. All of that stuff is BS, and I don't want to go into those are the conversations that people try to have.
And I'm going to connect this to Karbala right now. Imam Hussein knew with Yazid that the desecration of the Kaaba was going to happen. The desecration of Medina was going to happen. Yes? So why did Imam Hussein let innocent babies like Ali Asghar die in Karbala? Why did he have to go push that? No, I'm serious. No.
He didn't have to. He didn't push that. That's the thing. He did not push for a war. Do you think that he?
You're telling me Imam Hussein?
till the last day, Imam Hussein till the last day was
Okay,
saying, "Let me
let
go.
me
I'm
go.
out.
I'm out.
I don't want
But the
to.
thing is,
I don't want
why are you
anything."
coming to Kufa? Why
And
did
also,
Imam
we
Hussein not rise
very
up? Did Imam Hussein not rise up?
right. Im- he did rise up, but he didn't go inside Kufa and
He
start
didn't
killing
go
everybody.
to start. He's not killing everybody, but he. But the thing is,
That's
again,
that's the thing. That's the thing. There are, if you're going to look at the
yeah.
Sirat of
And
the
here,
Imam, that's
so
that's
can
very clear.
so
You don't see
where they
transgressions.
were.
You don't see transgressions
So
from anyone. You don't see transgressions from Imam Musa
no,
Kazim, who was put in
I
jail for
get that. I
14
get that.
years
But
in a
I,
very difficult
so
position.
I
Where,
agree
like,
with you about
if
that.
he had gone out and
Yeah.
killed the guards that were keeping him, okay, they are directly given
Yeah.
orders to keep him there. If he had,
Hmm.
fought them, for example, we would not have been having this conversation saying that, he shouldn't have done. We would be like, yeah, he was completely justified. Those
Yeah.
guys are
So
keeping him there,
again,
but he doesn't even do
so
that.
the attack on the concert, that was wrong. I agree. But the thing is, but
Or not even
here's
a concert. I mean,
here's
those are the things that people go to and they say, is the concert?
so
No, I'm gonna.
have you
That's
looked
what
at
I'm
the
saying.
top?
There has to
Have you
be a
looked
very
at the map
principled
of where
stand.
they were attacking? It's a military installation. They're attacking a military installation.
Sure.
Are they not
Okay.
like? So are they? So and there's civilians happen to be there.
They fine. Again, so are you saying that if Hamas does it, what's it called? The parallel
Collateral
damage. No, I'm
damage? No.
forgetting the word.
Well,
Collateral.
I'm not saying
Collateral.
I'm
To
not
collateral
saying it
damage
was
is okay.
okay. But what I'm saying is that's what they were doing. Okay, they were
Yeah.
initiating an act of war against an occupying force with
Right.
the knowledge there.
And let's stop at
And
that.
there,
Let's
it's
stop
a
at that.
okay.
Let's stop at that. Yeah, with the
It's a
knowledge, yeah, I agree.
preemptive strike because they're
Everything you
like,
said, I
I
agree.
know you're about to attack me, so I'm going to preemptively strike you.
Agreed on all fronts that they are preemptively styling. There was some just they had like BB called them and said, I'm gonna do it, all that, like it was black and white. Okay, get all of that. What does, I mean, you love philosophy, you're reading, you're a student of it, you talk to the great Nizamuddin. So have you asked him, have you read about this, and please enlighten me if you have. What does the philosophical ethics and morals that you subscribe to, they say about uh, engaging in
Let me give you
strikes in the
okay.
absence of a
In the
masum?
absence of a masum.
Because a masum, I believe, if the masum says, go attack, because they have God sent knowledge, so that is completely out. That's the ultimate power. Ghair Masoom, can they do a preemptive strikes knowing that 0.1% they're going to be wrong? There has to be, like, even if they're 100%, even if they're very sure,
So
has to be a
my
0.01% chance of they could be wrong. And that 0.01% chance meaning that, okay, one civilian will be killed. So let's just say that, forget the hundreds of babies, whatever,
mhm,
forget all of that. If a preemptive action that you want to take is going to guarantee you that one civilian will be killed for sure, what does your philosophical, ethical, moral standards say that should you then continue
let me
with that?
ask you this: your land that you've lived for for millennia, okay,
Yes.
was taken from you without your permission.
Yes.
You are living
Yes.
like a prisoner in your own country.
Yes.
Every single day you're
100%
humiliated,
agree.
and
Yes.
your state is not recognized by the international community. Your occupier
Yes.
has the most advanced military. They keep killing you. They keep
Yes.
attacking you. On the western side of the
Yes.
of your country,
Yes.
they have completely
Yes.
had illegal settlement organizations. Okay,
Right.
the only thing you have is this organization, Hamas, that
Right.
can
Right.
it. It's fighting back. It's war. It's I would say at this point,
Right.
the problem is we're looking at this, we're doing the same exact problem that we're accusing a lot of the people on the other side, where for them we're season one. This is not season one. This And
no,
this
it's not,
is
and I agree with it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's the
the
question.
thing to
That's
me.
the question. What precedents? Like, what do you subscribe by utilitarianism?
I don't.
What's that? How do you say
To
it?
me, I go with the philosophy of you,
Utilitarianism. What's the philosophy? I'm
I think
forgetting. What's the name?
utilitarianism. Yeah, but I don't
Yeah,
subscribe to that.
right. So that subscribes saying that, okay, the because you're saying, you know what, if I need to save 2 million people, whatever the number of people in Palestine are right now, or well, Gaza are right now, let's say that,
So if
if I want to save X, those millions of people, if for that means I have to kill one innocent person,
so
utilitarian,
yeah, that
fucking
word,
hell,
yes.
I hate that word. That philosophy, that philosophy suggests that, you know what, if it's the greater good for the most people, then do it. Does Because I feel the divine philosophy is the Quranic philosophy, the
Yep.
philosophy of the Imam. Does that fall under the philosophy that I personally, and I
Mhm.
know you subscribe to as well? If the answer to that is yes, good, I'm convinced. If the answer
But
to that is no,
so
then you know
that's the
what?
thing, right?
That's what it
So the
is.
Rida Wars. You're familiar with the Rida
Yeah,
Wars?
you're talking about you're
No,
talking
I'm
about the
talking about
first caliph.
Rasulullah. Rasulullah. No,
The Ridda Wars did
they
not.
happened
The
in the
Ridda
time.
Wars
No,
occurred
they were
the first.
Rasulullah's time. The Rida Wars are the raids on the caravans.
Oh, you're talking about
So
the preamps to
yeah.
the
So the
Badr,
thing was, here's the thing.
right?
These
The
were
Yeah,
caravans
right.
again.
Again, Masum's
But
present.
that so
Again, there were
so
nuance
so
there. There's nuance there. There's nuance there too.
so if
But
if
I can
so
without
that's
going
the
into
thing, right?
that
Like,
detail, I can
so
easily
what my
say,
argument
yeah,
on that would be, and again, I don't know what was the justification of
right,
Hamas or of the Palestinian people. And by the way, if you go
right.
even ask the Palestinian people, they're all saying they support this. They're for this. They're like, I've talked to Palestinians.
Doesn't make it right.
Well, it's not for
Doesn't
us to
make it right.
decide. I'm sorry. I'm not a Palestinian.
I
It is
mean,
not
it
for me
is.
to decide.
It's That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. You could, if you're asking me to support a cause without being part of the cause, then I'm sure I can have an opinion on the cause without
So
being a
let me ask
national of
you,
that area. I'm not a Kashmiri. I'm not a Kashmiri, so that doesn't mean
but
I don't
here's
have
the
any
thing.
opinions on Kashmir,
The thing
right?
is, to me, we should be part of the cause. We should be listening, and we should try to understand. What I would say is, okay, yeah,
Try to understand, but then
I
also
wouldn't disagree.
disagree
I
where
would
need
say,
be,
give me
because
the
I'm not going to
justification.
agree
I
for the
would say,
sake
give
of
me a
it.
justification. I would ask,
Does a justification
but
exist in the
there
first
has to
place? Is
be.
my question.
The thing is, first of all, Hamas is not. So first of all,
So it
Hamas does not.
means
So first
that
of
one
all,
person
Hamas has not existed before 1986. I don't know if you were familiar with that.
doesn't. Okay,
There,
yeah,
before that, it was PLO,
I
right?
know,
Yasser Arafat was
I
doing the
know,
same thing
yeah.
until he shook hands with
Yeah.
uh, in the at Camp David Accords, right? And the Oslo Accords.
Yeah,
This is not something that started today. This has been happening, but
of course. Yeah. I'm
so
well
the
aware of
thing
it.
is,
That's what I'm saying. That the history doesn't really, it's irrelevant in this stage, because the right always stays the right, the wrong always stays. And I know, and I 1000% understand, people listening to this might say, how
I
rich
mean,
of
but
you to
that's
say
what it
that,
is, right?
right? How rich of
We are
you
coming
that
from
you
a
have
place.
the it is what it is. But I cannot, I know I'm coming from a place of privilege, and I 100% agree. I am, I am coming from a place of privilege. But coming from a place of privilege, and coming from a place of underprivilege, does not change right or wrong. There's no rule, or there's no philosophy, there's no ethic code or moral code in Islam, or any code that anyone can follow that says, oh, if you're rich, you this is the code. If you're poor,
So
this is the code.
I'm
If you're
again, I'll
privileged, this is
quote
the
the
code. If
Quran.
you're underprivileged, this is the code.
May I quote the Quran?
There's certain
And this
Yeah,
is a favorite quote of the Quran of those who try to justify Islam's action. They try to prove Islam to be a barbaric religion. Okay, in the Quran, I forget exactly the surah. We can
right.
look it up and share it later. But it says, "Kill them wherever you find them." Does it not say that? The
Right.
Quran does it not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
But
Outside of
it says
context,
that, and
yes.
it's talking. But we know in context, it's talking about the people who have oppressed you. And the thing is, It's not talking about the people who are present.
It's talking about the people. No, it's talking about the people who broke the treaty that the Rasulullah had with them.
This is
It's
Badr.
after the Hudaybiyah.
This is Badr. This is Badr.
No, this is Hudaybiyah. 100%. I challenge you. This is Hudaybiyah. The surah, and I know which surah this is. This is Surah Tawbah, verse number 9, 6 to 9. That's where this conversation happens. The whole outside of this conversation is happening at the time of when they broke the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. That's what
the Treaty of Hudaybiyah.
This is not even debatable. This is
so will we?
Everyone knows
on that point. So when, yes,
they broke the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. They broke the Treaty of Hudaybiyah by killing
who is they?
a Muslim. They're killing
the Quraysh, right?
Killed
of Mecca. Okay.
The Quraysh.
Did every single Quraysh do that, or was it the leaders of the Quraysh? So and what was happening?
Again, did the Quran say you go and rape and pillage villages in Mecca? No.
Well, not raping. They're not raping and pillaging.
And actually, did Rasulullah?
But
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
That verse is telling them.
But did Rasulullah do exactly what Hamas did?
What was Rasulullah doing? He took an army of 10,000 from Medina. What were they going to do? Right. Were they going to go and sing Kumbaya? No, they weren't. They were going to
do what they actually did.
And what did Rasulullah? And what was the edict that Rasulullah gave? Imam Ali went and made the announcement that those who close their doors, who are not out in the battlefield or out in the town square,
or fighting, or fighting them, that's what
they're not present. If you are present at that position, you will be taken as an enemy combatant. So if I come there, no, not fighting. It says if you want peace, go inside of your house. Don't come out. That's all it says. It doesn't say. Did it say that? Yes.
Okay. Let's imagine, for the sake of argument, this doesn't happen. But let's imagine, for the sake of argument, someone didn't hear that. Someone was standing there. Would Rasulullah offer the exexecution of that person?
That's not what happened.
Tell me, like yes or no?
So the Rasulullah wouldn't, because he's just, right?
Exactly.
But on that point.
So exactly. That's just. Thank you very much. That's what I'm saying. That it's just to do those things, to take those measures, that even if someone is standing in the battlefield and they're not fighting, for example, if someone's standing in the battlefield with a gun in their hand, it's very safe to assume that this person's fighting. Very safe in the battlefield, right? Not in normal circumstance. For example, if I see someone with a gun outside, that I don't naturally assume that this is going to shoot me, right? I see if this is going to happen. Like, okay, so in the battlefield, if someone's holding a gun, okay, you have the opportunity to do what you need to do to protect yourself. But if a person is standing there without guns, they're not obviously out there to attack you. Those people are the point that Rasulullah was making when he said that go to your rooms or close the door, or go to these three places and you'll be forgiven. Is the point that if you're not coming at me, I'm not going to come at you. Simple as that. That's the.
Okay, so
those are the rules of engagement. Those are the rules of.
Let's say someone heard that, right? But they're like, you know what? Right. I don't have a weapon on me, but I'm still going to come out because I know you gave that edict. I'm just going to stand
and
there.
Do what?
I don't care. Whatever you have said.
Yes.
Whatever you have said, I don't. So because Rasulullah gave an edict, right? If I'm defying that edict,
right?
All right. What am I saying? I don't care what you said.
Right.
And if I'm killed at that point, because I'm instigating, am I not instigating?
That means that. Listen, the point of Rasulullah wasn't that everyone believes in him. No, it's not. I know that. The point was that they don't fight. So, for example, if a person is standing over there and not fighting and saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't care what you say because you're not my prophet."
But Rasulullah wasn't coming at that point as a prophet of God. He was coming as a military commander conquering a. He's always a prophet of God. Yes,
he's always a prophet of God.
That.
His actions will always be defined by that.
He is in this position. He's acting as a military commander, coming to with an invading army into an exemplary one to besiege and conquer this land. And the thing is, what happened in Khaybar? What happened in Khaybar? Did the Muslims not besiege Khaybar?
Because they broke the treaty. But Imam Ali again. They were going behind. If you remember, there was a treaty between them and the Jews before that war.
So what happened inside of
again
Khaybar?
In both of these instances, they again, once you're in, Once the treaty has been broken, all bets are off. You're saying that, okay, now you've
Thank
done
you.
what you told that you're not going to do.
Thank you.
Now
So
we're going
that's
to do
what
it.
they
Exactly. It was not preempted.
so
It was never
so
preempted. So that's what I'm saying. That Hamas, whatever they did, if even if that was preempted and they were 1,000% sure, it was
how is it
preempted.
preempted? They for the last 75 years they have been under attack, and it not.
But that doesn't mean that you start killing civilians.
So
That's what I'm saying.
then
That's
why
what
did
I'm saying.
Imam Ali kill
That does
civilians
not
in Khaybar?
justify.
In Khaybar,
Imam
when
Ali
they
killed
entered
civilians in
Khaybar,
Khyber?
when you conquered Khaybar, you killed all the men. Not all men
Right. So
were military, and that is a fact. They had a standing army. The Jews had a standing army.
You think okay? So you think Imam Ali went to Khyber and killed,
I'm not saying
mercilessly
mercilessly.
whoever
I
came
did
in
not
front
say
of him, regardless
mercilessly.
of the fact that they were
He
fighting or
killed
not.
the point. Yes.
This is the guy who kills, and we believe this, who kills
Yes.
by
Yes.
looking at the generations that come ahead of this person. So there's surely that him going in and killing blindly
I understand
does not
that.
fall into
But my yes,
the subscribe
exactly.
to
So
the
what
thought
I'm
that we
saying
believe in,
is,
right?
my understanding of this, right, is when Hamas is attacking, right?
Right.
Yes, again, we're
Right.
sitting from
Right.
privilege, and I understand your frustration with Hamas, right? But from Hamas's point of view, they
Right.
have been training in front of the Zionists for the year and a half. You see me paragliding. Well, what do you think I'm doing? Like, this is I'm not at the beach, okay? This isn't Cancun.
Again, this explains why what happened, and I get it. As an explanation, this makes sense, but it doesn't justify it. That's what I'm saying. It can still
I
be an
don't know if
explanation and not
I
be a
don't know if it
justification at the same
justifies,
time.
but I would
That's what
not
I'm saying.
say. Yeah, and
That's what I'm saying. And
but what I would
explains
say
it.
is I
People
would not
explain,
blame.
like, if you're saying this, that
Yeah,
let me
but what I
explain to
would
you
say
what
is I would
happened.
not blame Hamas for what happened October the 8th and onwards to this day. That's not Hamas. That is the
Again,
Zionist
the
regime. They were
context
going to do
is
that regardless. And it's not like that. Oh, they did that because of this. No, they have been doing that. They've been doing that in the West Bank.
right.
They've been
Okay,
doing
that's what I'm saying. That's
the
what I'm
point
saying.
is that was
It has been
it's
existing.
what I would say. This was Hamas's last stance. Do I agree that would I have gone about it that way? No, that's not what I would have done. I agree with you on that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
They did what, looking at their circumstances, was the best card that they could play.
Right. But in that's what I'm saying. That is why it's a difficult conversation to have. That are we at any point in time say and try and learn from this and say what we should do and what we should not do? Do we have examples in our history, regardless of Sunni or Shia history? It's history nonetheless. That gives us, I mean, forget Sunni or Shia. We like to say this, and it's pretty true in all levels as well, that this is a a government that supports apartheid, the Israeli government, right? This is an apartheid happening in front of us. This is what's happened in the 80s and 70s,
in South Africa,
in South Africa and all of that, right? So we call this an apartheid, and this is something, it is a buzzword for some, but it's true. If we are to deal with an apartheid in front of us, wouldn't it make sense to naturally go back and see, hey, actually, you know what, let me see what happened the last time this whole episode took place and apartheid took place. Let me see how those guys,
by the way, do you know
handled it.
So let me answer
was it
that.
like,
so Nelson Mandela,
was there militant
ANC was a militant
was there a
organization.
militant push? Yes, there was. But Nelson Mandela never. I read this up. That's why I read it. I was interested in that. I was like, what did Nelson Mandela do? What did they do to fight from this? Nelson Mandela never prescribed to a militant push in
Did he not? So why was he in Robert's prison for 30 plus years? He wasn't.
Because he was the right champion.
Because he was.
So that isn't anybody who's in jail.
He was arrested for taking military action against the apartheid regime of South Africa.
But militant regime or militant action against the civilians of a country versus military of a country, or the direct oppressor, isn't like the the people who are directly oppressing you is completely
so for
different.
for
Right?
the people
There
of
is nuances
Palestine, right? And I don't know if you've seen these
yes.
videos. The so-called civilian are saying death to
Yeah.
Palestinians, death to Arabs, death to Muslims. That is their mindset. They
Sure. Sure.
believe they are at war with the
Right.
Arabs.
Millions of Iranians say death to America. Does that mean America goes and bombs the
I
whole of
mean,
Iran?
when Donald Trump comes, it's quite possible. It's no,
And will
but the
that make
thing
it
is,
justifiable?
but the
Of
here's the
course
thing:
not.
Iranians.
People
Yeah,
chant
but
death
here's
to
the thing:
America and
the thing
Pakistan as
is,
well. But
Iran
does
and
that mean that we
Pakistan.
bomb portions of
Yeah, so let me
Jafar
ask you
Tayyar
this
and
though.
in Choli?
Even though they're making these chants, they're not coming and encroaching on American lands. You don't see Iranians coming in to America and Pakistanis coming into America, into San Jose with armed guns and
Right.
kicking poor Americans out of their home and killing them
Right. Right. Right.
and
And
humiliating them, and
having
by putting them
a
through
battle
checkpoints.
against them is completely, it makes sense. Again, that makes sense. That is something that you can understand and say, you know what, these guys were that's what I'm saying. People who are directly oppressing you, if you are up in
So
arms
that's what
against
they're
them,
saying.
you
They're
have history that supports that. You have history, and that you have, again. But are they going in? Are they going in with an understanding that, hey, I'm just gonna go, and throw the kitchen sink at it, or are they being again? The fact that the other party is not responsible in how they conduct
so
war does not justify
Zebhai, I
on
would
as to how I should conduct war. My values should not be dependent
so
on
no,
what the other
yeah, but
party
here,
is
yeah,
doing,
so
and that's what the Imam has taught us. Go back to Safin. Safin, Muawiyah stops Imam's
mhm.
army to drink water. Imam goes in and captures
The water, yes, yeah, and
the access
yes.
to the water,
So
but
no,
allows,
I
yeah, and
agree.
then and allows. So again, the ethics and morals, the morals that were employed by Muawiyah did not dictate what morals
No, I
Imam
agree.
Ali should
I
employ
agree.
in the
And
battlefield,
here's the
in the
thing,
freaking war.
us sitting outside and not being in that situation, yes, we can draw these moral parallels, okay? And we can come and say, well, yeah, well, you shouldn't have done that. But the fact of the matter remains, we are not in that situation. We are not in a situation where we know that there's a armed military, the most, if not the most, one of the most advanced militaries in the world, the most advanced military in the Middle
Yes,
East
yes,
is coming to attack us. We know it's
yes,
happening, and it's not like, oh,
yes,
we're not talking about, oh, they're going to come into Gaza and wipe us out. No, they have been continuously attacking us here. They've been continuously attacking us uh, in the West Bank. So
yes to
in
all of
that
that.
case,
Yes to all
what?
of that.
Let me
Yes to
ask
all
you
of that.
this:
Yeah.
if you are in that situation, are you going to be sitting there and reading the meditations of Marcus Aurelius and Nahj al-Balagha? Or are you going to be like,
No.
I am about
No.
to be murdered,
No.
and the only thing I have left is I have this bullet. Let me shoot this. I have 1 ounce of a chance that the
Okay.
Abraham Accords, these so-called brethren of mine, these
Uh huh.
Arab brethren, are about to normalize this relationship, and मुझे घंटा नहीं मिलने वाला अभी. Or
Hmm.
I do this, yes, I'm gonna die. This is a suicide mission. To be honest with you, this is a
And I'm gonna die, and they do know what's gonna happen. People who are not involved in that decision
that's
that you're making,
so. Here's the thing.
or I'm making in that
So here's the thing.
example,
The
they're
one thing
also
we're
gonna
looking
die.
at is we're looking at Hamas as an organization separate from the ruling, and they are the ruling entity of Gaza. Okay, that is the decision
Yeah,
of.
but
So
it's like to say that,
let me. So
yes. So that's similar to Biden makes a decision. I'm not responsible for that decision.
yeah, but
There could be people in Gaza that are not subscribing to that decision. How do you know that?
well,
100% people
no, but that's
agree to whatever
but
Hamas does.
they're
That's not a poll that
acting
I've read.
as the voice of the Gazan people at that point. Okay, what I'm so what I'm saying
Right.
is
Okay. Okay. Sure. But that's the difference between a Masoom leader and a ghair Masoom leader. A Masoom leader like Imam Ali, at the time of the first usurpation, when that happened to him, he had a choice: either go out gung ho and start fighting these maniacs and usurpers, you know, or saying, you know what, if I do this,
so
people who did
let
not
me
make that
ask you.
decision
Okay, so let me give you a ghair
are going to
masum.
be impacted. And similar decisions were made
Okay,
by
so
all the imams in their
mhm.
times. They made
Sorry.
decisions to ensure that people who are not making those decisions are safe from the rashness that potentially my decision can bring. So going to answer your question, when you said that what would you have done, would you be reading, I mean, didn't we just talk about the fact that, you know, the injustice that is going on around the world? What are we doing against it? Are we going out up in arms against this? No.
We're
What
doing what we
our
can.
you know, what we're doing what we can, but in terms of waiting for the imam, we're the biggest thing that we're practicing right now is patience.
So I
The school of thought that I subscribe to is that I'm not going to war until a
so
masum tells me to
my
do it.
answer to this, let me give you two ghair masums living in the time of masums who acted upon, in our beliefs as Shias, on Masum's acts.
Right,
And they knew that whatever they were going to
right,
do, they were not going to be able to overthrow the unjust government of their time. And this was, in essence, a suicide mission
right,
and would lead to the murder of innocent Shias and innocent people. But they did it, and the
right,
Imams, if
right.
anything, have praised these two individuals rather than condemn them. Mukhtar al-Thaqafi and Zaid al-Shahid. Did they not go?
Mukhtar Thaqafi
No,
was the government.
he
Mukhtar
was the
Mukhtar
government, right?
Thaqafi was part. He was the
So
government. So as a
Hamas is the
government, you can
government.
take those actions. You have the means
Hamas
to
is the
do it.
government.
You have an army. You have. But did Mukhtar Thaqafi go out there and start killing
Yes,
random
he
Shamis or
did.
people in
He was
Damascus?
in war,
Random.
but
And
the
if he
Imams are
did, that
not
was
condemning
wrong.
him.
There are plenty of condemnations of both Zed and we
But
both
okay,
know
so
that. We can't
but
we can
with Zaid
gloss over the
al-Shahid,
fact
with
that
the example of
both of
Zaid
these figures
al-Shahid,
are
right?
controversial.
He did fight, he did conquer, and then he
Right.
was Shaheed, right? Imam is Imam.
Although there's also history reports that go as far as saying that Imam
So,
actually
but
stopped him from doing that.
yes, but there,
So there
yeah,
are reports
but
that
at the
that,
same
that
time,
suggest that
Imam
as well.
says, "May Allah be pleased with my uncle Zaid, and and woe be unto those of my followers who hear the call of my uncle Zaid and do not come to his support."
And both narrations exist, you know, in the same book. So it's basically like, what
I
are
mean,
you going to
to
believe,
me,
right?
I
You're either
the
going to
way I'm
believe the
looking
ones
at
that
it is
say
this is a war between Haq and Batil. And I'm not saying justify the ends justify the means, but at the same time, what I'm looking
yeah,
at is
yeah,
there if whether I stand up or not, I'm going to be murdered. I might as well hayat min zillah, right? Imam Hussein's very famous quote: "It's better to die on your feet than live, you know, on your knees, because that is the
right,
option."
right. And Imam and what and let's go and let's see what the Imam did on the 10th
Yes,
of Karbala, like on the 10th of Muharram in Karbala, right? So
because so
on
on
the
the
10th, the day of the
yes.
10th, he knows if this war is going to happen. this this is if in any book of morals and ethics, you know, if Imam had thrown the first arrow that day, nobody would have blamed him. Like, you know what, you're in the battlefield, you
Mhm.
might as well throw the first punch, right? But he
But again,
doesn't. He waits
my dear brother,
until
we're
the,
saying that October 7th was the first
the,
punch. It wasn't the first punch.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not comparing this to the first punch or the last punch. What I'm saying is that I'm trying to
Yes.
extract
Hmm.
morals and ethics out of those actions. Those actions don't necessarily translate, you know, exactly as to what's like. Doesn't need to be a battlefield and the first arrow be thrown for me to say, okay, that happened in
Hmm.
Karbala, so therefore I'm going to draw parallels.
Hmm.
The
Sure.
parallels go beyond just
Hmm.
the visible. The parallels that I'm taking out of that is saying that even when I am in the middle of a battlefield where 100,000% a war is going to happen, because the other side has already
Hmm.
was already prepared to fight you the day before, actually. So the fact that someone would have said that, you know what, maybe there's 1% chance no, there's no percent chance. That's not, they've already made their thoughts clear. There's like thousands of people standing in front of me. The war is going to happen no matter what. In that position, in that condition, it would have been completely justifiable, you know, for someone like us to
Hmm.
say, you know what, I'm
Hmm.
going to throw the first
Hmm.
punch, preemptive strikes, because I'm gonna get mauled here anyway. So let me just
Hmm.
go down fighting.
Hmm.
But he doesn't do that. That is not just some.
Yeah.
fable or story that we just hear and we're like, wow, that's an amazing. These are morals. These are the lessons. That's what separates. That's why I feel. That's why I feel
Mhm.
these decisions are always the
And this
best
is why
made
I
by
pray that,
a
and this is
masoom,
why,
because they
we
are
do
making it.
the dua al ajal ya Mawlaya Sahib
Yeah.
Zaman, because until the Imam comes, we'll be
Yes.
sitting here trying to justify that, or either side. And but to that point,
Absolutely.
I would say,
Absolutely.
like, to me, October 7th is not Imam going and addressing, the army of Bani Umayyah, or even the army before. This is the heat of the battle. This battle, and this is part of the propaganda, right? To make it seem like, oh, this was an unprovoked
Right.
preemptive. No, this is,
No. Again, the
yeah.
preemptive strike was just one aspect of
Mhm,
that parallel that I was trying to draw from it, or
mhm,
the message that I was trying to
yeah.
extract from it. That was just one aspect. The bigger aspect that I'm pointing towards is that
Mhm.
even when it's unprovoked,
So I will agree with
so
you.
if Imam
The
on the plains
mhm,
of plains of Iraq is making a decision saying that even when I am 100% sure the other
mhm.
party is going to hit me on the face,
Exactly, and
I'm
that's
still
what I
not going
would.
to make the
Yeah. So
first move.
that, again.
Versus what we see over here, versus what we see over here, versus what we see over here, where you can say that, when we mentioned that, this is our last call.
Yeah.
Let's just go out on a high. You know what I mean? Those are the, again, understanding where Hamas is coming from is completely separate from trying to justifying and saying that this is
Mhm,
completely 1000, because these are important these are important conversations, these
mhm.
are important decisions. In these positions is where we clarify to say, what,
So
there is a right and wrong.
yeah. So what?
We cannot lose sight of that.
Indeed,
We cannot lose
indeed,
sight
and
of the
and
morals
so
and
this is where
ethics
I want to
of
answer
the
on
Ahlul
this,
Bayt
and you know, so one thing, yeah, yeah. So one thing that I
and
want to
conclude, I
address on
guess.
this, as you said, we would be just the if you know that there is an army standing in front of you, this, they're gonna come. We agreed that if someone from Imam's
Right.
army, including the Imam, had thrown the first punch or shot the first arrow, they would be completely justified, right? That is Hamas on October 7th. Okay, one.
Yeah.
Two,
Yeah.
how did Hezbollah react? How did Iran react? How did the Houthis react? That is what the Imam would do and has done. This is where our, like, no,
I don't
they
think so.
they
I
don't
don't think they
represent the
represent
Imam,
the
but they
Imam.
are. That's where they're pulling, because his does not, even to this day, Hezbollah has not entered the war. They're still observing, even though Israel is egging them on. They're pushing them. They're like attacking.
Right.
They've been bombarding Gaza, and they've been even throwing in south of Lebanon. They've been attacking. The missiles have been going, but they're still waiting, and they've been provoking it on,
Some
come
rockets have been
attack us,
thrown,
attack
yes.
us, attack us. But they're not, because I'm not saying they represent Imam, but we agree that they are drawing, their leadership is a Shia leadership that goes back to the principles of
Right.
Karbala and of the Imam, and they are trying to draw their lessons from the Imam. And
They I'm not going to doubt their intentions. They might as well be, but that
again,
doesn't
they're not
mean
right,
that
because the
whatever they
Imam's not
do
here.
is
The thing is,
right.
unfortunately, the
That is
Imam's not
also,
here, right? But
yeah.
if in the absence,
Right. Right.
yes,
So
yeah,
so your
exactly. So,
guess is
but
good
what
as
I'm
mine
saying
is
is,
what I'm
in the
saying. Yes.
absence of a Masum, or a physical absence of the Masum, right? When we have to look at the playing field, we're looking at it, and we want to understand, okay, what would the Imam do, right? We agree that while Hamas is justified for what it did, we think there's a better, right? They did Tarkeola in a way. They did Tarkeola. You could have not done that. You could have let
Hmm.
the Zionist regime attack first, and then,
Right.
yes, you would be more than justified to launch a million rockets into them. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, uh, the other thing, and
Hmm.
perhaps we can, conclude on this, and we'll take
Hmm.
concluding remarks from you as well. The absence of the Imam. I think the one thing we also need to also understand and recognize is that there are going to be
Hmm.
decisions which will be gray, right? Which will be, okay, you know what? Maybe
Hmm.
I'm right here. Maybe I'm wrong. We're gonna be faced
Hmm.
with a lot of those decisions in the absence of the Imam. There might be certain decisions that are black and white, where you say, would the Imam pray? in the morning first thing, yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
black, that will do it. But would the imam wait for the Zionist regime to attack me first?
Exactly.
Again, your guess is as good as mine. I can be whatever I can bring from the history. Iran can
Yes.
bring something from history. Houthis can whatever. Everybody will have an opinion, but that does will it is possible some of those opinions match the
Indeed.
imam's opinion, or none of those match the imam's opinion, or what he would have done,
Indeed.
because we're thinking what he would have done or thinking what a Masoom would have done. So in that instance, there is also a third option of disengaging, because you do know that uh, Islam does give us that
But
room
not in Haq
to
and Batil.
say that, what, if you don't know, well, that's the thing. The Haqq battle definition is what you're driving out of deriving from
Mm-hmm.
your understanding of the situation. Some people may not even look at that and say, this is Haqq battle, and they may have bigger,
Mm-hmm.
they may have other justifications to think that. But in the absence of that, there is an option to sit it out and say, you know what, I'm not gonna engage here, disengage. And like I said, this is a very, again, maybe that's the action that Imam would have taken, disengagement, right? But again, that's where it's important to understand
Mm-hmm.
that we're sort of helpless here.
Yes.
That's why, going back to the Babasi point that you made, at the start of the show,
Indeed.
was that this is the Babasi that, I don't know what to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And the recognizing
Indeed.
that Babasi is very important, because instead of being arrogant with some people are, where they say, this is what it is, that's, come on, like, admit
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know certain things, because only one man knows,
Indeed.
and that man
Indeed. And
will come soon, inshallah. So it's important for not just Shias. Shias perhaps will, by definition, will be able easier to recognize that reality exists. But unfortunately, Sunnis will have to also recognize that that is a huge reality. You
yes,
cannot solve Palestine on your own.
indeed.
You need a Masoom. You need a Masoom, and you need an Imam to solve this for you. And
Yes.
I think even in their
Indeed.
literature, that exists, that all of these fractions and all of
Indeed.
this is
Indeed.
going to be solved when the Mehdi arrives. So if
It's
that's the case, then let's just recognize that we are all trying to figure things out, and not be arrogant enough to say that my point of view is the what the Imam would have done, or this is the haqq and that's the batil, and blah blah blah. There are debates,
mhm,
there are nuances to this. Hence why, when I
mhm.
preface this particular portion of our
It is. It
conversation, I
is.
said this is a difficult one. This is a difficult
Mhm,
one. Some days I agree with you.
mhm.
Some days I disagree with you. Some days I
Indeed.
agree with you.
Indeed.
But that's the difficulty of this. And some days I agree
Mhm,
that I am speaking out of privilege here. But then I also question that, okay, does privilege,
mhm,
then that's another conversation. Right? Maybe you can ask Nizamuddin Sahib about this. What does philosophy say about, or you know,
mhm,
do conditions of a person uh, uh, um, you know change how
mhm,
values and ethics should be applied?
mhm,
Is Bebasi one of those
mhm.
conditions where
Indeed.
what, anything goes, right? So again, these are complicated conversations, but these are complicated
Mhm.
conversations that we should have more and more
Indeed.
to further educate ourselves, because this is not something, there are certain
Mhm,
layers which is
mhm,
simple. Babies should not be killed. Simple as that. Lands should not be usurped. Simple as that.
mhm,
There are certain black and whites that everyone agrees to, right? But there are also nuances to it, because if if we're trying to justify this, or trying to understand this, we might as well
mhm,
justify September 11th, right? And we might as well justify them, you know, beheading
mhm,
the Shias of Hazara, because they feel like not threat by sword,
mhm,
but they feel like they're threat to their belief system,
mhm,
because they say, you know what, these guys curse the Sahabas, because and they bring these disreputes to the
mhm,
Sahabas name, or the people that we revere a lot. Our children hear these and they ask
mhm,
these questions. Let me
mhm.
cut this
Or
off.
like in India, you have, the
So they
murder
just
of
uh,
Sikhs after Indira Gandhi, or even now, like you
yeah,
have the attack
yeah,
on Muslims. So, to yeah.
exactly. So these
So
things
yeah,
are,
my final
anyway.
thoughts on this.
What
I
are your
mean,
thoughts?
I think
Final thoughts. Let's
you said
conclude
it, it's
this.
Babasi, right? And I think in a way, like I was just thinking about this. Isn't it unjust that we cannot come to a conclusion? That's it. And wouldn't it be
It is.
great if there was someone who
That's
could
the whole
give
thing,
us the
right?
black and white of this? And
If
so
only,
I
if
don't want,
only there
like,
was someone.
I don't know
You know
about
what I mean?
you, Zebai, but I'm sick and tired of waiting. I want him to come back because I have nothing. Like, I mean,
Of course, who
it's
doesn't?
like I don't think philosophy will get us out of this one. I don't think Nizam Saab or
I
even
mean, that's the thing, right?
Allama
Yeah.
Tabatabai or Mullah Sadra. I can read all of Mullah Sadra and I can read all of Ibn Sina and Aristotle and Socrates and Rene Guénon. I don't think, yeah.
जितने
I
मुंह
mean,
उतनी
I
बातें
would
हैं,
not be able.
जितने मुंह उतनी बातें. यही होगा.
Yeah,
जितने मुंह उतनी बातें. But it's an
indeed.
it's an interest of mine.
Yes, shamelessly plugging at the Islamic Alibet Association in Austin. If you go to our IABA uh, live programs, IBA Austin,
I'll put that up
there,
here. I'll put
yeah,
that here.
there's
Yes, I saw
there's
snippets of
two
that. I
lectures.
saw snippet. I
One
intend on
is
watching it
indeed
completely
one. The first
in my
one is
morning
on
commutes.
the doctrine of the Imamat from various philosophical lenses, and the second one is what qualifies an Imam. We're not the only ones waiting for the Mahdi. The in the Zoroastrian religion they have something called the Shaoshyant. The Shaoshyant in the Hindu or the Vedic traditions they have the final avatar of Vishnu called the Kalki.
Mm-hmm.
In Christianity, they're waiting for the second coming of Jesus alayhi salam, Nabi Isa alayhi salam. The Jews are waiting for their Messiah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's waiting for someone who's going to come and restore justice, right? Who's going to, and what is justice, right? That is, and if you really want to understand what is justice from a philosophical point of view, go read Plato's Republic. That will give you what is justice. But besides that, what I would say is, you know, I I think it is a difficult conversation, and these conversations are difficult because we're trying to read a textbook without the subject matter expert at hand. In the absence of the imam, will be as good as somebody else's answer because because for instance, right? Like
Right.
maybe Iran is right, maybe Hamas is right, maybe like
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden is right. Who knows, right? Or maybe the Zionists are right. But the thing is, we don't know because
Right.
there's no one there. Where is the barometer? Because the imam is the barometer.
Where's the barometer?
Because he's coming for divine justice. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the
And
dua as well? Where
and I
is
think I
where
will
is he?
end
Where is
this
he?
with
Where is the barometer?
my favorite line of Dua Nutba that we recite for the coming of the Imam every Friday morning. Ain al Hassan, Ain al Hussein, Ain al Abna al Hussein. Where is Hassan? Where is Hussein? Where are the sons of Hussein? The bright
Yeah.
moons, the bright stars.
I mean, that's a beautiful way. I
Indeed.
mean, if there was to end this podcast.
Yes.
So
And it got
I know this
heated,
was a
and
long one, and we spent a lot of
yeah,
time going back and forth. And the
yeah.
last half of it, yeah, I mean, that's what it was. That's what I intended it to be. Appreciate your time again, Sarosh. As always, I couldn't have thought of a better person to have a conversation like this with. So, thanks a lot, man.